What's going on, guys? JPP Duel here. Hope you guys are enjoying your weekend. And for today's matchup, I'm bringing you a Prank Kids versus swordsoul matchup with my opponent playing swordsoul going first. So with this, you guys have probably been tortured or have dominated swordsoul in ranked over and over, or maybe you guys are swordsoul players yourself. So you guys already know how their combo goes. Baron de Fleur instantly on the field of Avlongian, and then he's going to normal out Taya and then go into Grandmaster. So with that, he's going to be able to send one card from the deck to the graveyard using Taya, and then Grandmaster searches him for another card. Pretty standard Sword Soul combo, nothing new about this, nothing meta breaking, nothing groundbreaking. But this right here is where I disagree with my opponent. I think my opponent made a major misplay right here, in the sense that with the Grandmaster, he should have searched for the Sword Soul Blackout over the Sword Soul Emergence that this guy searched for. He's trying to set up a play for his next turn by doing this, but what if your opponent is playing an OTK deck that outright will kill you even through this board? Maybe you want to put the Blackout on the field and not overly rely on the Omni the Baron offers and the Monster Negate the Grandmaster offers. But this guy was overly confident in those two and thought that maybe I will not be able to wipe his field or kill him through all of this. So he searched for Sword Soul Emergence. Let me know in the comment section below what you guys would have done at this point. So going on with the gameplay, he just outright ends his turn. So right here, I have a Kaiju in my hand. I have a negation for Maxi, and I have a negation for Nibiru. If I just draw into an instant fusion, I win the game. Straight up. Instant fusion means I win the game. That's it. Game over for my opponent. So let's see what we draw into. Draw into a Thunder Dragon fusion. So now with this, first of all, we Kaiju the Omni off of the field. So Baron de Fleur is gone, I give him the Kaiju. No more Omnis. So here I'm thinking, I know my opponent will use the Grandmaster to negate my Doodle-Doo. And since I did not start with Panda or Pranks in my hand, that will stop my combo. But since I have Thunder Dragon Fusion in my hand, I will still be able to full combo my opponent. How? I'll tell you how. With this, he's obviously going to use the Grandmaster to negate my Doodle-Doo, and once I go into my full combo all the way up till my Bow Wow, I will be just using Thunder Dragon Fusion going to my Butler. So as you guys saw right there, I used my Fansies, right? I used my Fansies effect to send my Prank Kids pranks to the graveyard. Now, this is really important, okay? You have to keep in mind you have to send Prank Kids pranks if you know your Doodle-Doo is going to get negated. Because if you go into your second Doodle-Doo, that means you're using up both your Doodle-Doos in your extra deck, and then if you go into your Bow Bark afterwards, you will need the Doodle-Doo activation, pull the pranks from the graveyard, add them to your hand, and then get a token, go into your Bow Bark. Now this is in case you already have a Pandemonium in your hand, you could do it that way, it wouldn't matter to you, but if you draw into Thunder Dragon Fusion, do it this way because you will have access towards your full combo. So I burn him, special out my Roxy's. As I said before, activate my Doodle-Doo, target the pranks plus a Prankkids monster, add them to my hand, activate pranks, you guys already know the combo now, discard one Prankkids card, get a token, and go into my Bow Wow Bark. Now with this, you will be forced to banish one card from your hand because you are activating Roxy's from the graveyard. And I was thinking, I do not want to get rid of Crossout Designate. I absolutely need my Thunder Dragon Fusion to go into my Butler, and what if I draw into a Fusion Destiny off of my Prankkids Pranks Recycle? I would need Dasher as well, otherwise the Fusion Destiny would be a useless card in my hand. And I know that my opponent did have a Sword Soul Emergence in his hand. I knew that. But I still decided to banish my Ash Blossom because once my Butler comes in the field, unless he has a way to negate my Butler, I will be popping his field left and right twice. So that's the reason I'm choosing to banish the Ash Blossom or any other card in my hand. And the card I drew into was Ghost Bell. Pretty good card because Sword Soul can go into Bajia to special card from the graveyard onto the field, which you can use your Ghost Bell to negate. So keep that in mind. With that Thunder Dragon Fusion, so another important note for you guys, did you guys see that I took the Fansies on the field and not the one in the graveyard when I used my Thunder Dragon Fusion to add them back to my deck to go into my Butler? Now why would I do that? I did that so that I could activate Bow Wow Bark on my opponent's draw phase. So for Bow Wow Bark activation, you need two different named prankkids monsters. They can be normal monsters or fusion monsters. They cannot be link monsters for Bow Wow Bark. So I'm specifically leaving two prankkids monsters in the graveyard to activate my Bow Wow Bark on my opponent's turn to make my prankkids monster immune to destruction through card effects. So in case this guy draws into a Raigeki, we are immune to it and we're good to go. So activate Bow Wow Bark, target the two in the graveyard, add them to my hand. So now my butler is about to be staying on the field. Unless he has a forbidden droplet, we are good. So first of all, Sword Soul Emergence searches for the Moye. That's okay with us. Normals out the Moye, shows me that he has a Longyan in his hand to get the token for the Moye. So right here, I know he's going to go into his Grandmaster combo, so I use my first Butler's Pop. My opponent chain links his Heavenly Dragon Circle to it to tribute one card on the field and draw into another. So tribute one worm, draw into another one. And the card he drew into was a Vishuda. I'm okay with that. Activates Longyan, sends the Vishuda, gets a token. So I know this is going to go into the Sovereign at this point, so don't want to deal with that. Use my second Butler Pop and pop my opponent's field. Now, let me know if you guys would have done this combo differently, seeing the cards that my opponent did have in his hand. Aside from this one card, I do not know what that card is. If that card was another Sword Soul card or a Worm monster, what I would have done was gone into Vishuda and forced the Butler bounce and then gone into Longyan to go into the Sovereign. The Sovereign would have stuck on the field afterwards. So that was my take on it. Let me know what you guys think about that. So with this, he ends his turn, and what do you know? Surprise, surprise, we draw into our Fusion Destinies. As I was saying, if I had drawn into it with my Roxy's or a normal draw, if I had no Dasher in my hand, that would have been pretty bad for me. So right here, I go into my combo up till Meowmoo, and I go into my DPE. Now you guys might be asking why? Because all of my Link 2 climbs are currently in the graveyard. I run one copy of Bow Wow and two copy of Doodle-Doos, and all three of them are in the graveyard. I did not recycle them prior to this, so that's the reason why I cannot go into Link 2 climb to OTK my opponent this turn. So with this, I'm going to hit my opponent in the face for 3,500 damage and end my turn. That's it. So with this, what I could have done, like I had a way to go into Nightmare, but since I had no more Link 2 climb, I could not have gone into access code to OTK my opponent because I did have a way to get a token on the field. So that's another reason why I did not go into the Nightmare, because I would have been stuck with the Nightmare on the field unless I use up my DPE on the field to go into access code. But you should not be using DPE to go into access code unless you know it's a guaranteed lethal. So with that, I recycled 3 cards and top deck a Call by the Grave. This Call by the Grave I'm going to use. I could have used it on so many different cards in his graveyard. I could have used it on Taya, Moye, I could have used it on Vishuda, I could have used it on Longyan. So in case he draws into any of those, his monster effect would have been negated. But the card I chose to pick was the Vishuda. So in case he draws into, let's say he draws into a Tenny and both cards in his hands are Tenny, if he specials out one, I would obviously use my DPE to pop it. Then if he specials out another, he could have just gone into his combo afterwards. Let's say if it's Adara or something, he could have added the Taya back in his hand and gone into his full combo afterwards. So that's the reason why I did the way I did. He draws into one and he just outright surrenders afterwards. That's going to be the end of the game, guys. If you guys do like this kind of videos, please consider hitting the like button, subscribing to my channel for more daily prank kid video uploads, and if you guys are interested in the live version of all of this, I do live stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/jpbduel. Link along with my schedule is going to be in the video description itself for you guys to check out. This is JPBduel signing out for today. I'll see you all tomorrow. Peace!